What is on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be installing these GTS-style taillights on this BMW 435i. These GTS-style taillights are going to completely transform the car. I don't want to waste any time. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. Now, the stock taillights on the BMW 435i, the F32 chassis, do not look bad by any means. They actually look really good. I love the little tube LEDs, but they do not compare to the GTS-style taillights that we're about to install. Opening up the box, you can see we have our taillights. Let's go ahead and take them out of the packaging. They look absolutely wicked. You can see these dragon scales. Putting them side by side with the stock ones, it is a no-brainer. And once they go on the car, you'll see exactly what I mean. But yeah, let's go ahead and install these GTS-style taillights on this BMW 435i. Now, the first thing we want to go ahead and do is pop the trunk on this car. Then we have access to the taillight itself. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is remove our little trunk liner here by simply prying it out of place carefully. So we're going to pull out the trunk liner. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is simply grab a flathead screwdriver and remove this top screw right here. And once that's loosened, you can simply pry out this whole trim piece. Go ahead and pull up on it and it should slide out of place just like that. Now our trim piece is removed. Now we're gonna have two 10mm nuts that are gonna hold in our taillight assembly. So let's go ahead and remove those. And if you don't have a 10mm socket, you can go ahead and choose an adjustable. A neat trick is you can put it in from top to bottom and twist it like a screwdriver. Cool, and now removed. Let's go on to the bottom one. As we start to unscrew the bottom one, what you want to go ahead and do is put one hand on the taillight assembly. Otherwise, this thing could fall out and break. Cool, removed. Use two hands. You're going to grab one side on this side of the taillight, one on the back, and then pull this out. Yeah, you'll have to use a little bit of force. Just be careful not to throw this thing across, your garage. Just like that. And then we're gonna have a harness right here on the back side. Just simply push in and pull out. Sweet, so now our old OEM taillight's fully removed. Let's go and put this thing in storage. So now we're gonna go and remove the plastic trim piece covering the trunk arm by removing these two clips. You're simply gonna get a flathead screwdriver in here. There's one, two. Now this will come right off. Just like that. Our little trunk trim piece is now removed. So we can see all of our wires are now exposed. So let's go ahead and remove this side as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove the trunk liner. That way we have access to the tail lights mounted to the trunk. Use a regular old Phillips screwdriver to go ahead and remove these screws. Should be able to just pull it out just like that. And now we're basically gonna go through the whole trunk liner and uninstall all of these clips right here. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is push in the little tabs here and lift up these covers because we have to remove that 10mm bolt that's secured right here. That is the last thing holding the trunk liner on. You can see we have the trunk liner pulled back enough. We fidgeted with it. You just peel off the liner over the bump stocks, the trunk latch, and then unlatch this big meaty portion here, the handle. You basically peel this liner down. You'll have to fidget with it. You don't have to remove it entirely. Just peel it down enough to where we can access this tail light. And now to remove this trunk tail light, you'll need an 8mm deeper socket. You can't use a shallow because it's not going to be able to remove the nut. So make sure it's deep or a mid-size socket. There's the 8mm screw right there. So now our little bracket holding the tail light is removed. Now what you can do is go ahead and put a plastic pry tool under here and pry up on the tail light. That should just pop straight out of place just like that. And right here under the trunk liner, we'll see that the bulb that attached to our OEM housing can be removed right here. Simple push connection, and we'll slide that out. So now we have the trunk light removed off of our F32. Sweet, so now we have our new GTS style trunk light in hand. So let's go ahead and install this. And the neat thing about these GTS style taillights is it has this white little bracket here already pre-installed. You don't have to remove it off the old one. And fitment won't be 100%. It's gonna look like there's a large gap, but as you tighten down the taillight from underneath, this will start to become more flush, but just basically latch this side in and hold it into place. There's a little tab right here. See this little hole lines up right there. And now we'll go ahead and tighten that 8mm screw to make this fit a lot more flush. Sweet, now that our trunk light's installed, we're gonna go ahead and grab this adapter from the GTS install kit. And right here on the bottom, we're simply gonna go ahead and connect that part of the kit right there. Should lock into place just like that. And now we'll leave these two exposed. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab the connector from our GTS trunk light and install it to the maroon connector right here. Sweet, and so it should look just like that. So now we have these two other connect points that we haven't routed. And I'm gonna show you guys how to route all the wiring from here. So this is one of the ballasts that comes with the install kit. You're gonna see it has a little 3-prong connector. And now we're gonna go ahead and line up the pins and install this. So now we have trunk tail light right here to the purple. And now we have this ballast that we just installed connecting to that same little wiring harness. Now we have one more connection point. It'll be this 2-prong connector. Basically what we're gonna do is grab the stock connector and then grab this harness right here that came with the install kit. So it'll look just like this. And then this side here will plug straight into our tail light assembly. So now our last cable that comes with the install kit will either be red and black or yellow and black. And I'll show you how to route this. This is another power cable that you have to route before you fully install the GTS-Style Taillight. And now we're gonna go ahead and grab this little 2-prong connector. Now you're simply gonna attach these two ends. So you're gonna grab the yellow and black from this side, the red and black from this side, and connect the two of them just like this. Sweet, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is you're gonna tuck in this part of the harness down here, grab this power cable, and we're gonna route it through the trunk. So go ahead and lift up your little weather seal here, and then pull this cable all the way through. And now for the absolute best OEM finish, we're gonna feed our cable down through the trunk liner here and out through this hole. That way we can go ahead and secure it to this little trunk beam and up through the liner here. So you're gonna pull it through till it's pretty tight, keep feeding it through. And then we don't wanna pinch off the connector, so we're gonna leave it here on this side. And it should be good to go. Once we install this, everything will be properly secured and you really won't even notice any of these cables. And now we have our cable routed up and we can run it up through here. Sweet, so here's that 2-prong connector. Now remember that last little 2-prong harness we had? That's what we're gonna go ahead and install this power cable into. Now all of our harnesses are plugged in. We have our trunk tail light assembly plugged into the purple connector. We have our little ballast plugged into the 3-prong connector. And now we have our 2-prong connector and we have that routed down the trunk liner, down the trunk beam, in the hole there, and around to the taillight. So now we can go ahead and install the full GTS taillight. And so we'll plug it in right here onto the taillight. Cool. If you're having fitment issues right here to where this end of the taillight just isn't going in enough, you can use these little black pieces here as spacers. And you basically stick an Allen key in here and rotate this. The more out these spacers are, the more it'll push that end of the tail light in. And to align this assembly perfectly, we're basically gonna give it just enough slack on the top and bottom. So the best thing we can do is hold it here in the middle and then go ahead and install our 10mm nuts. What you can do is grab some washers and actually put them on these little end poles right here and just kind of go around, see if you put a washer on the top or a washer on the bottom, how that'll mess with the fitment. And it's just a neat trick. So you can basically put some washers right here on the end pole just to kind of kick out the top. And make sure our connector here is not getting pinched off. There's a little gap right here that it fits perfectly into. So now hopefully that'll make my gap on the top and bottom line up as I tighten, but let's go ahead and see how it looks. Sweet, so yeah guys, that washer that we went ahead and installed on the back side, you can see it's that little silver piece. Basically kicked out the top of the taillight enough to match the bottom. So now we have an even little gap and that looks a lot more balanced rather than just having no gap on the top and a huge gap on the bottom. So yeah, you'll kind of have to mess around with fitment. You'll have to really hold this thing in place as you tighten simultaneously. But I did find that a washer does help. Sweet guys, so now that everything's all plugged up, I don't want to go ahead and stick this 3M adhesive yet or really put any of these cables away as best as I can until I test everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab my key fob and test these things out. Okay, cool. That looks nice. All right, so let's go ahead and stage the camera up and see how these things look for the very first time. So everything is lighting up. We can confirm all the dragon skills work. I went ahead and checked the trunk lights as well. Everything works and that looks absolutely wicked, guys. And so now that you guys see the daytime running lights, I'm gonna go through in the car and show you guys the brake and sequential turn signals. So now that we verified that the tail lights work and the trunk lights work as well, let's go ahead and tack up the rest of our cables and make this look like a full OEM finish. So go ahead, peel off your little 3M adhesive tape protectant. And now we're gonna go ahead and stick this little ballast to the top of the trunk. So now any flat spot works as long as you don't put it here in the groove where this big hook thing goes. And now we have our ballast secured, all of our other cables as well. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just zip tie everything together just so it looks a little more neat. Everything is now zip tied off, so we go ahead and tuck that off neatly. Just basically reinstall our weather strip, put that little flat panel back on, and then just tack up all the trunk liner and just make it look all OEM again. And then from there, we can go ahead and put the little trunk pillars on and everything should be good to go. And yeah, guys, everything is fully installed and look how good that looks. The dragon scales look absolutely wicked. Covering the license plate, of course, but look how good that looks on this 435i. 10 out of 10. They look beautiful. They look menacing, aggressive, and they're actually a darker shade of red than the OEM ones. The OEM taillight assemblies are a very bright red. These are a lot darker, so it just looks more aggressive. But now there's one final step to ensure these don't throw any codes at all. Coming inside the car, we're basically gonna go ahead and go into our iDrive menu, and we're gonna make sure that there's no codes being thrown at all. Depending on your model, you might have an error code as soon as you install these new GTS-Style taillights, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly why. So what you're gonna go ahead and do is fire up Beamer code on your iPhone, Android, etc. We're gonna connect to the car. It's now 4 series /M4. And the reason why we're using Beamer code is because Beamer code's gonna allow us to basically tell the car's computer, hey, we just did the GTS or LCI upgrade to the taillights. That way it doesn't throw any codes on the iDrive system. So now go ahead and let Beamer code just do its thing. Now we're in the control unit. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is go to the front electronics module located right here. Let that fire up all the data. Now you can see all the different units you can control with the FEM, the front electronics module. We're gonna go ahead and scroll down, go to LED conversion, daytime running lights. Make sure it's active. Then we don't have to touch like high beam, side markers, fog lights, stuff like that. Just make sure you do LED conversion, daytime running lights, because that works for the rear as well as the front. LED conversion, side turn signal. And then we're gonna make sure that these are active and then go ahead and code them, because that's basically gonna tell the car, hey, I have full LEDs now on the rear for the side turn signal and for the daytime running lights. And that's gonna tell the car, that way you don't throw any codes in the iDrive system. That's all we're gonna need Beamer code for. Now, everything should be good to go. And these things just look crazy from every angle. The top, side shot, absolutely wicked. Overall, these GTS-Style taillights look absolutely amazing. They are a game changer and completely transform the rear end and side profile of this car. And I absolutely love the way these things look. When you hit the unlock button, I'm gonna show you guys from this angle here. The turn indicators and the hazards are like this amber loading bar, and it looks absolutely sinister, especially with the dragon scales. I mean, that just looks so modern. I mean, looks very, very, very ahead of its time. Makes the car's rear end look absolutely years newer. Take a look at that, guys. 2 thumbs up for me. I highly, highly recommend. And I'll have the link down below with a promo code so you can get some money off of these GTS-Style taillights. If you guys found this video helpful or like the way that these things look, go ahead and smash that thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions at all about these. And as always, thank y'all for watching. Catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.